Hey guys, super excited to talk to you today about self-love. This is the foundation for everything. So if you are starting out on the spiritual journey, trying to find out what's going on in your life, what's good, what's bad, and what's going on inside, self-love is the start of all of it. So the really biggest thing is about being vulnerable, and that is a conversation that people don't want to have. It's a hard thing to be vulnerable. It's a hard thing to talk about our fears and what we are ashamed of and what's hard for us and what's going on in our life that isn't perfect. But newsflash, nobody's life is perfect. Everybody is struggling. So, getting vulnerable is the first step to loving yourself. We all humans need to feel a sense of belonging and a sense of love. And so if we are feeling like we're not comfortable in our own skin, if we're not feeling like we belong deep in our own heart, in our family, with our partner, in our close circle of friends, we are never going to be able to feel like we fit in the rest of the world, in our professional life, or anywhere else. So you have to be able to love yourself. And that really starts with it starts with being vulnerable, but it starts with identifying what brings you shame, what puts you into the darkness. So a great way to start to identify your shame triggers or your gremlins, I'll talk about why they're called gremlins in a minute, is by seeing the ways that you judge others. And so we tend to judge in the arenas that we feel most insecure. So when you are starting to hate people for no reason, when you find yourself out in public and you're judging people for no reason, that you have no context and you don't know them, or maybe you do know them and you do have context, but that, whatever. So the reasons that you are judging people, take a look at what they're about. Are they about their body? Are they about their money? Are they about their job, their education, their parenting techniques? Whatever it is, take a look at that, because that is a reflection of what's going on inside of you. You are judging in the arenas that you feel the most insecure. So identify them. The reason that they are called gremlins is because in the movie Gremlins, when the gremlins are exposed to the light, they die. It's the same thing for our shame triggers. Our gremlins, our shame gremlins, are killed when they're exposed to the light. So I talked about in one of my blogs the shame gremlins that I've been carrying around since my adolescence, and they were mostly body image related, but also on being a perfectionist, things like that. And when I spoke them, when I wrote them, when I shared my vulnerable story, as painful as it was, as difficult as it was to address these issues, it seriously relieved me of the pain. It took away the power of that shame. And now in sharing my story, I am empowered. This is so near and dear to me. I broke up with my ex-boyfriend about a year ago, and it was after years and years and years of serial dating, one relationship after the next, and I just thought I was good luck Chuck. Everybody that I was gonna date was going to find their next person after we broke up, and that I was going to die alone. Honestly, that was, one of my shame gremlins. And what it actually was that I didn't love myself, not even a little bit. And so no one else is ever going to be able to love you enough to make you love yourself. You have to kind of find that within yourself. And so taking the time to learn about yourself, to figure out what is making you hurt and what is making you happy, is going to make you a better person. So you have to identify those shame triggers, and then you also have to start to let yourself be vulnerable. We all wear these masks in our different situations, in our different lives. The saying is, I wear many hats. We actually are wearing masks. We're wearing armor, full body armor, that is really hard to put on and take off. And we wear different sets of armor and different masks in different situations. So we have a different mask for for work, for school, for certain friend groups, for our partners at home, for our families. And you know, if you're really lucky, maybe you're not wearing a mask at home with your family or with your loved ones, but most of us are. We just are wearing a different version of it. And so by opening up, by starting to be vulnerable and letting yourself be seen. Brene Brown is where most of this information today is coming from, and I'll link this at the end. But her vulnerability mantra, which I really believe deeply, inherently applies to loving yourself, is don't puff up, don't shrink, just let yourself be seen. So when you go somewhere, don't puff up, don't say, you did that thing, I did it better, I'm a one-upper, and everything you can do, I can do better. Great song, but not really applicable in real life, all situations. Don't shrink. Don't say, oh, I don't have any ideas at work, when I do have ideas. I have great ideas, but I'm afraid to show them. So in order to have creativity, in order to have innovation, in order to be your best self, in order to show up, in order to show your gifts to the world and find your purpose, you need to be vulnerable. And so you need to start to peel away those masks. And it is really easy for us. We've been socialized to think, you know, vulnerability is a dark emotion. And so don't be vulnerable, tough it up. No matter what happens, don't let them see you cry, hustle hard, work hard. Listen, wholehearted people, the best of people, this is from the research, are taking the time to slow down, to rest and to play. So yes, hustling hard is important, but by showing up, by not shrinking and by not puffing up, you are allowing yourself to be seen. Your truest self is allowed to be seen. Your self-worth is never on the line in that way. Because if I show up to an event and I think, I need these people to like me in order to fit in, because I need a deep sense of belonging and love. So if my goal for the encounter is to be liked, to be the most popular person at the place, I'm going to be really upset with myself. I'm going to believe that I am not worthy of love and belonging if I fail at that mission. If my goal going into any social situation or into any life situation is to just show up and be my authentic self, my sense of worth is never on the line. Whether or not I am the most popular person at the event doesn't make a difference of my self-worth. I know that I was seen. I know that I was vulnerable. I know that I was my authentic self. So it becomes easier to love ourselves when we are kind, when we are good people, because you know that your authentic self is good. So be kind to yourself. Don't tell yourself you're ugly and I hate you, you're ugly and I hate you, you're ugly and I hate you, because eventually you start to believe it. And also don't be an asshole to other people. So that was my last video on empathy and compassion, but that requires vulnerability. So you have to be able to be vulnerable with yourself and with your loved ones in order to be vulnerable with other people when they come to you with a problem or a situation, a shame story, a gremlin, you know, I'm in shame about this. You need to be able to be vulnerable and say, me too. If I just say, no, you're great, don't worry about it, that doesn't require any vulnerability. That also doesn't require me to be a good person. So in order to love myself, I need to be a good person, but myself also, my authentic self. So this is some deep, dark work. This is a really emotional journey. And again, the journey is not linear. So if you're having trouble loving yourself, get back to it. Identify those shame triggers. Identify what's going on inside of you that is making you hate yourself, because you are worthy of love and a deep sense of belonging. You are worthy in your imperfect self exactly as you are. Make the time for rest, make the time for play, be kind to yourself, and then being kind to others and being grateful and being positive. All of those other things start to fall in line once you're being vulnerable with yourself. If you liked this video, subscribe to my channel, follow me on Instagram, share it with a friend if you feel called to. I love you, you are worthy, spread love, and have a wonderful day.